We're working together, and let's turn it over now to Ellen. She is a five-star director, Ellen Lewis. Thank you, Ellen.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ellen. And oh, got a little feedback. I've been in Tupperware about 13 years. And when I first started in Tupperware, honestly, I did not really see a need for my life at the time for freezer mates or free smarts or whatever they're called now. Freezer containers, just because that's not the way our lifestyle was at the time. But as life evolves and the family gets bigger and they come and go and all that good stuff, I started seeing a need more and more to have freezer mates to put my freezer stuff in. So, and the thing that I love about them is meal prep. I do a lot of meal prepping. When the kids were little, my idea of meal prep was Encore Salisbury steak. I'm sure some of you can relate to that. Okay. It was cheap and both my kids ate it. And it was just like super easy to do, right? I didn't have to do anything, just pop it right into the oven. So that was my idea of meal prep. But as things evolved and their taste buds evolved as well as my own, I started making more and more food from scratch. Before it was like Sunday dinners from scratch and everything else was kind of grab and go. But now I'm making more and more stuff from scratch. And when I say from scratch, don't be intimidated by that. I used to be really intimidated when somebody would say that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like totally not a chef. But I just mean using whole ingredients, right? Not necessarily, I try to shy away from the stuff in the box because it just has so many ingredients that I can't pronounce. And that does not agree with my body. And I'm sure some of you might feel the same way, right? But convenience wins, right? And you're just like, well, you know what? It doesn't make me feel well, but I'm going to do it because I just don't have time. Well, that's where our freezer containers came into play, was because I knew that it wasn't good for me and it wasn't feeling good in my body. And, but I didn't have the time, right? So the freezer mates are what really helped with that. Being able to double a recipe and freeze half of it. I know Kevin just shared about, getting the berries straight home from the store and putting them right into the freezer container and putting them into the freezer. That way you can buy them when they're on sale and they're like buy one, get one, right? And you can freeze one of them and then use the other one fresh if you want to, or freeze them all. There's so many great options with these. And I love this size here because there's some recipes that I make that not everybody in the house likes, but I love. So I will make those recipes and make this size so I can just thaw this out just for myself. And then I don't have to worry about it. So when I'm here by myself at lunchtime or something like that, I can just kind of, or if the kids want like, one of those big box meals from McDonald's, I can't eat that. Not that I wouldn't want to, but I just can't. And so I will pop out something like this in the from the freezer for myself. And the thing that's so great about our freezer mates is that they are airtight. Okay. And before Tupperware and before I really, started freezing pre-made or food that I already made, right? You would see your meat would get freezer burn and things like that because you're just like throwing it into the freezer in the container that it came from the store in. When I say container, I mean the cellophane and the foam thingy, right? But with this, you'll see once you have it in the freezer for a while, when you take the top off, this whole top will be covered in crystals. I should actually just grab one out of my freezer, but they're covered in crystals. And what that is, it's the moisture of the food trying to get out and it can't, right? It can't, it's stuck inside of here. And so that just kind of, when you take this out and you just thaw it right in the fridge, that moisture will go right back into the food. So it's great for that. Now you can also, what I do a lot of times, because I don't think ahead quite that much. And so I always forget to take meat out of the freezer and things like that. But these, you just kind of pull on the sides, they're flexible, and then you just pop it right out into one of our into a pan if you're just heating it up that way, or if you're putting it into one of our microwavable products. I wouldn't put these in the microwave, but I do use them for leftovers all the time, just straight into my refrigerator, not even the freezer. So and the kids use them in lunches too. And the other thing I love about these is they nest beautifully. So these two have the same size seal, right? So you don't have to worry about colors and the different sizes and such. And then they nest kind of backwards. The small one goes on the bottom and then the larger one goes on the top. And I don't have a lot of space in my kitchen for storage space for Tupperware products. So I try to get the ones that really nest down inside of each other. Now this container here, the thing that I love about this container is it's great if you make like pancakes over the weekend and then you make extra and you can line them up in here and they can pull them out, right? Or waffles, extra waffles. I always try to make extra French toast and waffles, and then they can put them right into the toaster for breakfasts, and it makes it super simple. But you can also line up hamburger in here too. And so you can make patties. I like to make fresh sausage, and it's like a chicken sage sort of sausage, and it's so delicious, very good for you, and wonderful flavors. It's so flavorful. But I will just line them up in there. I'll just line them right up there in here, and I'll just put some parchment paper between them so they don't stick to each other. But this size is so great for Jello. You can make Jello in here, right? So again, think outside the freezer. There's so many things that you can use this for. But even when you're just kind of getting ready to go somewhere and you're putting stuff in the cooler, maybe you're going to a cookout, you can put buns in here and keep them from getting all smashed and all that good stuff, right? So many different sizes for your freezer, and you'll find the combination and the ones that you love the most. I find these sizes here are the ones I use the most because I have dozens of them, and I'm not even kidding. I have so many of these sizes because I can easily take 2 of these out, right? Or I could take 4 of them out. But if I don't like I put spaghetti sauce in here, but then I'm like, oh, well, I'm just gonna, it's just for me and my husband. The kids are not here or whatever. And so I'm like, well, that's way too much spaghetti sauce for the 2 of us. So I like to use smaller containers because I can pull out multiples. And then that way I always have, I always have smaller portions if not everybody is home for dinner. So our freezer mates, you're going to love them. Even if you're like me and you're going, Ellen, I just don't see the need for them in my house. I promise you, you get them in your kitchen and you start using them and you're just going to want more and more. I bought them for years. Every time they went on sale, I was like, I need another set. I need another set, right? And you will too, especially once you start seeing how quick and easy it is to meal prep and make extra soups and sauces and things like that and put them right into the freezer. So thanks everybody. Back to you, Pam.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Great job. And I love my freezer mates, and I agree with you. You don't realize you love them until you get them. And then they're so practical and so great to have. And the food is so much fresher when it's wrapped and properly in the freezer. We have self-defrosting freezers, and they pull and suck the moisture out of everything, like you said, and it doesn't deal well with food. And so you want good, fresh, frozen foods that come out and taste great as they went in, then yes, you want to protect them and wrap them properly.